Dark chosen ones, you have these rare powers, but you don't know it yet. Sometimes we feel like something is wrong with us, but what if everything wrong is exactly what makes you powerful? If you're watching this, it means something in your soul knows it's been chosen, but not in the way the world celebrates. No, you've been chosen by the dark current of fate, not evil, not broken, but dark, deep, complex, and extraordinarily rare. That darkness inside you, the loneliness, the shadows, the depth others can't even begin to grasp, that's not a defect. That's a portal. A spiritual mutation that marks you as something the world isn't ready for. And because the world isn't ready for you, it tries to trap you, confuse you, mute your gifts. But what if I told you that you've been walking around with spiritual weapons so rare and ancient, even angels bow in confusion when you awaken them? You think you're lost, but you're just hidden. Chosen ones that carry darkness are often mistaken for broken souls. But you are the blueprint for transformation. You weren't meant to fit in. Nay. You were designed to rupture reality, completely destroy everything fake, everything surface level, everything shallow, and build a bridge between dimensions. But here's the truth. Most dark chosen ones live unaware of the full arsenal they possess. And because they don't know, they get attacked, drained, manipulated, not because they're weak, but because their power threatens systems that thrive on control. If you've been feeling drained lately, attacked out of nowhere, or stuck in energy loops that feel like you're swimming through molasses, this is not a coincidence. This is a trap designed to neutralize your vibration before you ever realize what you're capable of.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The world isn't fair to those born with dark frequency. The world is terrified of them, because while light chosen ones heal and inspire, dark chosen ones disrupt and rewire. You don't just fix what's broken, you make it obsolete. But let's pause for a second. Ask yourself something brutally honest. Have you ever felt like you're being followed by chaos, not because you attract it, but because you are meant to transform it? Do you feel like every room you walk into either silently fears you or instantly clings to you without understanding why? That's not personality. That's polarity. Your energy is coded to disturb stagnant vibrations. You're a living spiritual earthquake. But if you don't know that, you become a casualty of your own resonance. That's the tragedy most dark chosen ones live through. But we won't let that happen to you. There are rare powers buried in your subconscious, gifts that aren't flashy, not the kind you'd find in fairy tales or movies. These gifts are subtle, terrifyingly precise, and devastating to false realities. One of them is vibrational mirror fielding. You have the ability to reflect back other people's hidden intentions, even if they don't know those intentions themselves. Ever noticed how people get uncomfortable around you for no reason? Or why people seem to confess things to you, things they didn't even plan to say? That's your mirror field. You don't just see people, you vibrationally expose them. But if you're unaware of this, it feels like people hate you or avoid you. And that misunderstanding turns your power inward. You start judging yourself for making others uncomfortable, when in truth, you're simply showing them their truth. That's the first rare power, one that very few ever master. Another hidden power is your resistance to synthetic light. While others get seduced by false positivity, artificial awakenings, and aesthetic spirituality, You cannot be fooled. You see through it immediately. You feel the hollowness in pretty words, the decay in fake kindness. You sense energetic contradictions. This can feel like a curse, because you're always the one who ruins the illusion. But it's not a curse. It's your compass. You weren't born to follow the light. You were born to redefine it. In a world full of spiritual echo chambers, your power is discernment. It's raw. It's surgical. It burns through delusion like divine acid. But here's the problem. If you're not careful, your gifts get hijacked. And that's what most vibration traps are, hijacking points. They're engineered to make you question your gifts. The moment you think your intensity is too much, or your solitude is loneliness, or your detachment is depression, they win. They pull you into low vibration loops disguised as self-doubt. The trap works because it doesn't look like a trap. It looks like logic. It feels like realism. It sounds like the voice in your head that says, no one will understand you. You're just broken. But what if that voice isn't yours? What if it was implanted the moment your soul remembered it came here to destroy illusions? The only way to dismantle vibration traps is not to avoid them, but to walk through them with awakened intention. You must know the architecture of your darkness. You must name it, embrace it, weaponize it. That's when you become untouchable. Not because pain disappears, but because pain becomes your compass. You begin to realize that every heartbreak was a tuning fork, every betrayal a purification ritual, every silence a sacred download. That's how dark chosen ones evolve. Not by healing their pain, but by understanding its spiritual mechanics. But let's go deeper. Ask yourself, why does the universe place such immense hardship only on certain souls? Why do some of us endure generational curses, invisible battles, spiritual exile, and yet we still rise? It's not because we're lucky. It's because we were built for it, not built to survive it, built to transmute it. You don't just escape the fire, you become the fire. That's what no one tells you. That your entire identity was forged not in the light of protection, but in the shadow of relentless transformation. And so the real question is, if you were born with powers designed to break vibration traps, who benefits from you never finding out? Awaken the weapon, how to activate the dark energy you were born with. Most people assume that to awaken is to become peaceful. That to evolve is to rise above pain, transcend rage, float into the clouds of eternal love and joy. But for the dark chosen ones, awakening looks different. It's not soft, it's not comfortable, it's not quiet, it's volcanic, it's violent in its clarity. Because when your energy was forged in the underworld of human experience, your awakening doesn't come with angel wings, it comes with the howl of your ancestors, the scream of every past life that dared to defy the illusion, and the whisper of shadow gods who've been watching you since before you were born. You're not here to float, you're here to strike. But how do you activate that energy? How do you stop being the misunderstood loner, the scapegoat, the empathic sponge of everyone else's chaos, and instead become the storm? There's no shortcut, but there is a key. And that key is this: you must stop trying to be good. I don't mean turn evil. I don't mean hurt people. I mean this: stop trying to be perceived as good by a system that was never built for your kind of soul. When you stop performing morality and instead live from a place of embodied truth, You ignite the ancient technology in your DNA that has been dormant for lifetimes. You are not just human. You are not just spiritual. You are a hybrid of shadow intelligence and cosmic purpose. You are a convergence point, a node where bloodlines, timelines, and soul contracts intersect. This is why your life has been chaos, because you weren't born into ease. You were deployed into distortion. And the moment you stop trying to escape your intensity and instead train it, you awaken the weapon that was buried inside you. Training starts with self-exposure. You must sit in the raw seat of your own mind and ask, what parts of me have I suppressed just to survive? What feelings do I label as dangerous? What thoughts do I shame into silence? Because those suppressed energies aren't just wounds. They are codes. They are fractured instructions. And only when you reabsorb them not as pathology, but as power, do you begin to reconstruct the dark energy that makes you untrappable. For example, many dark chosen ones have what I call reality-bending emotion. When you feel something deeply, especially rage, betrayal, grief, your vibration doesn't just affect you. It cracks the frequency around you. That's why people react so strongly to your emotions. It's why your presence causes breakdowns in systems that others accept without question. It's not your anger that's dangerous. It's your clarity inside that anger. It reveals too much. You carry the power to destabilize delusion just by feeling fully. But you've been taught to suppress that, to calm down, to be nicer, to shrink, and every time you do, your weapon rusts. So the path to activation isn't about gaining new powers, it's about remembering the ones you've been trained to hide. You must reverse the spell of suppression. Start by reclaiming one moment a day where you would normally silence yourself. Speak your truth. Not recklessly, but powerfully. Declare your boundary. Claim your insight. And when the world around you flinches, do not shrink, but smile. Because that flinch is proof that your energy is alive again. But this is only part of it. The deeper layer is energetic architecture. You must understand that your body is not just flesh, it is a vessel of multidimensional design. The pain you carry is not stored randomly. It's stored where your power is. Your chest, your gut, your spine, your throat, each place that aches, stiffens, that trembles is a gate. And you cannot bypass them with positive thinking. You must sit in the ache. Breathe into the stiffness. Let the trembling speak. This is how ancient powers wake up, not by light activation, but by dark communion. You're not broken, you're encoded. And those codes are waking up every time you stop numbing, stop running, stop pretending. Your awkwardness is sacred. Your intensity is divine. Your silence is surgical. And your sensitivity, that's the blade. Let's go deeper. Have you ever felt a sudden knowing? A moment where reality bends and you just know something without any logic. That's another rare power, temporal piercing. You can collapse timelines. You can access past and future insight through emotional resonance. But this gift is fragile when misused. If you don't trust it, it gets corrupted by fear. If you rely on it too much without grounding, it becomes paranoia. The key is balance. Let your knowing guide your intuition, not your ego. Practice by asking yourself in silence, what is the energy under this moment? But not the story, not the drama, the energy. And listen. Listen with your bones, not your ears. Here's something few dare to admit: dark chosen ones do not operate on logic. They operate on pattern. Your life has always been moving through loops, symbols, repeating lessons. That's not just coincidence. That's spiritual math. When you recognize the pattern, you break the cycle. And when you break the cycle, you break the trap. So I ask you, what pattern keeps looping in your life? Is it betrayal? Abandonment? Invisibility? And more importantly, what truth is hidden beneath that loop that your soul is screaming for you to integrate? When you begin to live from these questions, you stop being a seeker. You become a weapon of remembrance, a catalyst, a storm of truth that no trap can hold. The trap blueprint: how energy vampires and false light use your own power against you. What if I told you that most of the traps you fall into were never meant to catch ordinary souls, but were designed specifically for beings like you? The average person gets lost in illusion because they crave it. But you get caught in illusion because you threaten it. The moment you start seeing through reality's veil, reality begins to fight back, not with swords, but with vibrations. Not with chains, but with feelings. The trap is frequency-based, and the most terrifying truth: it uses your own energy to cage you. Let's break this down, slowly and precisely. Have you ever entered a room and suddenly felt tired, confused, or angry for no reason? That wasn't your imagination. That was a vibrational field of suppression. You walked into someone else's unresolved wounds, and because you're a dark chosen one, your energy tried to clean it. You've been doing this your whole life, not out of ego, out of instinct. But here's the problem: if you don't have boundaries, your gift of transmutation becomes your own destruction. This is where energy vampires come in. They don't always look toxic. In fact, many of them appear enlightened, kind, spiritually awake. But they feed on your capacity to process. They feel lighter after talking to you, not because you help them rise, but because they subconsciously dump their spiritual waste into your field. And if you're not awake to it, you take it in like a sponge, thinking you're being of service. But slowly your light dims, your mind clouds. You start questioning your path, your purpose, even your sanity. This is not just emotional parasitism, it's energetic warfare. These people are not always evil. Some are simply carriers of distortion. Others are agents of false light. Now pause. What is false light? It's the illusion of spiritual purity that demands obedience, self-worship, and denial of your primal truth. It's the voice that tells you to always forgive, even when your soul is bleeding. It's the doctrine that says your anger is low vibe, your boundaries are ego, and your grief is weakness. False light is not light, it is camouflaged shadow, designed to make you harmless. But you weren't born to be harmless. You were born to be precise, to cut through delusion like a black flame. And that means embracing what most spiritual teachings tell you to reject: rage, grief, depth, power, intensity. Those forces are not distractions from the path. They are the path when wielded consciously. So how do these traps work on the chosen ones? They seduce you with stories of safety. They whisper, tone it down, be more loving. Don't scare people. You'll awaken more if you let go of your darkness. But the moment you comply, you dilute your essence. And the more you dilute, the more you attract experiences that mirror your disempowerment. That's the trap loop. It's not just psychological. It's vibrationally engineered. What you must understand is this: you are not meant to heal everyone. Your energy is not for mass consumption. You are not here to be liked. You are here to disrupt timelines of deception. And that means sometimes your presence will trigger breakdowns, fear, even hatred. Let it. Your truth will never be digestible to those still clinging to the matrix. Your presence alone is an exorcism. But to hold that power, you need to stop leaking it. The most common way a dark chosen one leaks power is through the need to explain. You try to justify your visions. You soften your tone. You play dumb so others feel safe. But this is energetic suicide. The moment you dilute your language, your power echoes back into your body as fatigue, confusion, or disconnection. Here's the solution: radical clarity. You must learn to name the frequency of a space without apology. This feels false. This is draining. This person is not clean. Say it inwardly or aloud when needed, but stop second-guessing it. Your ability to feel the truth behind the mask is not paranoia. It's precision. And the more you trust that, the more the traps will reveal themselves before you step into them. Let's go deeper. There's another trap most don't see coming: the savior complex. You believe somewhere deep inside that it's your job to wake everyone up. But this is a baited hook. The system wants you exhausted. It wants you constantly pouring out your insight, love, and protection to people who never asked for it. Why? Because as long as you're focused on saving others, you won't build your own throne. As long as you're drained, you won't evolve into the sovereign vortex you were designed to become. So ask yourself, who am I trying to save right now? And what part of me still believes that if I don't, I will lose love? That question alone can dismantle entire lifetimes of vibrational slavery. Because the real power move isn't saving the world. It's stabilizing your own field so powerfully that the world must respond to your frequency, not the other way around. You do that by becoming unfazed, not cold, not cruel, but sovereign. You see through the trick. You honor what's real. You hold your field. And in doing so, the traps collapse like illusions in the presence of fire. The crown of shadows, claiming the authority you were never meant to discover. Now we've arrived at the final veil, the part of your being the world hoped you'd never touch. Not because it's evil, but because it's uncontainable. The real reason the dark chosen ones are targeted, misunderstood, and manipulated isn't because of their darkness, it's because of their authority. A type of authority that isn't granted by systems, religions, or hierarchy. It's a signature coded in your very soul. The signature of one who remembers, not just who they are, but what they are. Let me ask you, what happens when a being remembers that they were never created by the structures that try to rule them? What happens when someone stops seeking permission from energy systems that were built to distract them? They begin to radiate an influence that is silent, unseen, but undeniable. That is what it means to wear the crown of shadows. This crown is not a reward. It is not given. It is claimed, and it is heavy because it asks you to carry all that you are, even the parts others flinch away from. The parts that feel too intense, too knowing, too much. But here's the twist no one tells you. Your too much is the exact size of your purpose. They've only ever called it too much because they couldn't hold it. The crown is a state of remembrance, a state where you no longer need to broadcast your power to be effective. Your presence alone alters timelines. Your silence alone destabilizes lies. You stop reacting and start observing. You stop leaking and start summoning. You become a walking storm of stillness, dangerous not because you harm, but because your very existence collapses false realities. But how do you claim it? First, you must stop waiting to be chosen. You already were, long before you had language, long before your birth. The darkness inside you isn't chaos, it's origin. It's the womb of dimensions. It is where your ancient self forged identity through resistance, suffering, wisdom, and rebellion. But do you feel it? That subtle thrum in your chest? That's not anxiety. That's dormant royalty. Second, you must reclaim your relationship with power, not the kind of power that forces or manipulates. I'm talking about density, the gravitational pull your soul naturally emits when it's unashamed. This is why people either love you, fear you, or want to control you. They feel your mass, even if they can't explain it. But here's the truth: if you don't own it, others will weaponize it against you. They'll call you arrogant when you speak clearly. They'll call you dangerous when you set boundaries. They'll call you dark when you simply refuse to bow. But what if that darkness is divine? What if the part of you that refuses to conform is the exact frequency that this world needs to evolve? That's the final test. Can you love your darkness so fully that it becomes light again? Not the kind of light that blinds, but the kind that sees everything and still remains. The kind of light that can sit in the deepest abyss and not flinch. The kind of light that whispers, "I've been here before, I was born here." That is your final power. The one no vibration trap, no system, no trick can take from you. Not because you fight for it, but because you remember it. You stop asking the world to make space for you, and instead, you expand so boldly that the world has no choice but to shift. Your voice no longer seeks agreement. Your path no longer seeks approval. And your power no longer seeks audience. You become the event, the activation, the portal. So ask yourself one last time, why were you drawn to this message? Because deep down, you always knew. The dreams, the synchronicities, the suffering, it wasn't random. It was training. Every betrayal stripped away your illusions. Every failure peeled off false identities. Every moment of isolation forged the inner structure of a being that does not beg for light, but radiates from shadow. That is the paradox of the dark chosen one. The more they descend into themselves, the more they rise above the illusions of this world. And so you walk forward now not as a seeker, but as a sovereign. The traps may still appear. The energies may still test you. But your core has changed. You've remembered the one truth they hoped you'd never see. You were never the student. You were the signal. Now go. Speak less. See more. Burn slow. Walk as if the ground itself listens, because it does. You are not just powerful. You are permission. You are prophecy. You are the proof that darkness and divinity were never separate. You were just never meant to forget. And now you never will again.